news about Jan Benrek coming back, just what he brings you and perhaps what's his experience, how that can help likes of Mohammed and Armel when he's fit again, do you?
That's exactly why, we felt we needed a bit more experience in there, a little bit of a leader, a little bit more of a voice, because as I said, with the greatest respect, we've got some young centre halves who are in some in like their first season in the Premier League, and it's a tough league in terms of, so we just felt we needed a bit of experience, a little bit of aggression, a little bit something in there. And look, we could have gone out and signed someone new and left Yanni, but someone who knows the place, someone who knows the building, someone that has played in an aggressive team before. We felt it was a logical one.
Still need to do a bit more business, do you think, over the next few days? Is a striker and right back, are they the two priorities?
Look, whether they're priorities or not, what we want to do is bring a little bit more potency into the team. That's the thing. So whatever that is, whether that's a striker, whether that's a forward, whatever that is, then we need a little bit more potency, because that's all. Because we've started to build now a real defensive structure. We're not getting the return we feel we deserve, but that will change. And once that changes, then we're going to need to make sure that we can win games, not just contain.
Just turning our attention to the game itself, just what would it do for everyone, fans, players, yourself, to get to a cup final at Wembley? And obviously your goal once you're there is to want to win it.
Well, I think it's really important to the club and to the fans and stuff, something like that to get behind. Obviously for myself, I'd love to do it for a personal level, but the more important thing is that we can give the fans and the club something to something special. Really, they've done it in previous years, and for Southampton to be competing at this level in terms of a semi-final shows that we've done something right in recent weeks, and that's a good thing. And it's a wonderful occasion. I wouldn't say it's a distraction. It's not. It's another challenge, but it's a different challenge. And we've stepped up so far, and albeit to a different journey in terms of some of the games. But it's a wonderful game against a real tough side. But look, it gives the club and everyone associated with the club something really special to try and achieve.
Are there any lessons you can draw upon having been to a two-legged championship playoff semi-final, or is it completely different?
The quality is different, with the greatest respect, but the actual mentality of everything is the same. I don't want the same repeat, because as a player I got to a number of semi-finals and finals and things, so I know the mentality, what it takes to win them, but it's a different level. But what we have to do is make sure that we'd love to take a lead to St James's Park, because you have to, one, make sure you're solid and the game doesn't go away from you, two, that you can make sure that or try and get a lead yourself, because it's going to be a tough second leg. It's always better to have your second leg at home, but you never know. So I'm really excited about the game, where obviously we played one of the best teams in the world in the quarterfinals. Now we've got one of the best teams in the Premier League to play again. So, but when you're at this stage of the thing, there's not going to be an easy game.
A lot of praise, understandably, for the job that Eddie Howe is doing up there. I'm just wondering if you can see any parallels between yourself and him, in the fact that in recent years there's been this fascination with the next young, fashionable, exotic foreign manager, whereas you're sort of two British managers who've had to earn your stripes the hard way.
Look, me and Eddie speak a few times, to be fair, and there's a lot of parallels between our career. Now, bear in mind, if I can do anywhere near the job that he's done at Newcastle here, then I'd be delighted. But in terms of took over a side in League Two, gave it real structure, took it as far at that time that he did, then went to Burnley, didn't have as successful a time at Burnley, came back, got them again, and then after leaving Bournemouth has got an opportunity again at a wonderfully, or a bigger club than what he was previously at. Myself, exactly the same, sort of took Luton to where went to Stoke, didn't have a successful time, learned from that. I mean, Eddie spoke about that and spoke about the experience he had at Burnley, I had at Stoke, and then to go back to Luton to then take them forward, albeit not quite as far as Eddie did, because I probably didn't stay as long, as long, and then to have an opportunity. So there's so many parallels with it, and as I said, a load of admiration for him as a human being, especially as a coach, and then a manager. He's proving that he can build something, he can take setbacks, and then he can go to a big club and do well. So if I can get anywhere near him, then I'll be delighted.
Just one final one from me. You mentioned his coaching prowess, and I think in particular in January there's this fascination from fans of, we've got to make signings, we're going to go out and spend money. Whereas you look at players at Newcastle, the likes of Miguel Almiron or Joe Linton or Fabian Schär, 18 months ago, fans would have thought, we need to get rid of this lot. But through great coaching, he's turned them into some of the best players in the league.
And that's what it is. And look, with the greatest respect, that's what I have to do here, because that's what I've been brought to do, to develop. My track record's in developing players to be better than what others thought they could be, or what the levels they were playing at previously, or whatever that is. And that's what coaching is, that's what man management is, and that's what the thing is. Look, we've got a group of players who are bought into everything. I need to make sure that I give them a structure and then keep on to them so that they keep sticking to game plan, keep sticking to structure, so that we all improve. They improve individually, we improve as a team, because if they improve individually, we'll improve as a team, and that's process.
Thanks very much.
Nathan, I guess a big thing for anybody at the moment is how do you score against Newcastle? Not just you, but anybody, because it's been 9 out of 10 clean sheets, I think.
Look, and they got fantastic. You look at them; they're a big, strong, athletic side, and have been able to build that. And with what they had in the building, and then they've gone out and signed, and then developed people like Longstaff, who I knew from his loan spell we tried to sign him at Luton, from his loan spell at Blackpool, and things. So a real mixture of big money spent, development, and also improving those who have been there. So, yeah, it's a tough ask to go back. It's a semi-final, and we're at home, and we have to. On the weekend, we were very unlucky not to score. In terms of, well, we did score twice, but marginal calls sort of denied us, and now we have to make sure we continue to try and be a positive side.
How hard is it to balance the need to try and get ahead at home, but also to stay in the tie over 2 legs, because there might come a point when, in front of their own fans, they're under pressure because they were desperate to go to Wembley in front of 55,000, and actually that could be to your advantage if you're still in the tie.
Look, it's a real good question. You have to have balance. You can't go gung ho. You would want to be positive, really positive at home, and away, because at no point have we ever gone away to anyone so far and sat in. But there is a balance, because you want to make sure that this, at 180 minutes, you are either ahead or you are in and around something to be able to do it, because you don't want to be out of a tie because you've done something silly. So there is a balance to be had, but it's a minimum 180 minutes of football, and we got to make sure that we're tactically, physically, and mentally prepared for a war, really.
Just on a paper, of course, you said last week Orsic and Alcaraz were sort of where you want them to be, much closer. We didn't see Alcaraz at the weekend. We saw a little bit of Orsic. Can you now start bringing them into the fold more, because they obviously brought them in to improve them? Absolutely,
and look, it's important that you, as I said, you can be too bold with them or more silly with them, and then you lose them and things. But now they're at a stage where everyone's up to pace. We've got Theo Walcott back as well, which gives us something. Armel's closer. We obviously brought Yanni B in, who can also play, because he played in the first game, I think. So we're in a lot stronger position in terms of that for options, and we're going to need it, because we've got today, Saturday, Tuesday, and then Saturday again. So it's, again, the squad's going to be needed, and we're going to need that aggression and energy.
Just a final one from me. Romeo Lavia came off after an hour again on Saturday. Is this about managing him back into time? Because obviously we all see him as a key component in the middle of the fight.
Absolutely. And look, when he's learning his trade, because he's a wonderful player in possession, out of possession, he's still learning his trade. It's his first season in the Premier League. If we're demanding 90s from him, he'll break down again, because it's very difficult for an 18-year-old to come out of development football and play Premier League football. That's what happened earlier on, and Juan, Tino, have picked up injuries that we didn't want them to have. So, yeah, we have to manage them, we have to be sensible, but also we have to be a little bit selfish and think, well, we need as many good players as we can on the pitch.
Okay, and no more for this section. We'll move on for section 10 this evening. Start with Jay.
Hi Nathan, just a bit of an injury roll call. In terms of the time frames for Juan Larios, Tina Livramento, Stewie Armstrong, Bella Kotchap, what's the latest on them?
Tina was probably the furthest away in terms of, we've got to be really careful with him in terms of stuff. So, and not that it's a bad injury or anything, but we have to be very careful with Tino, and we go into, because I always planned on doing that. The others are really close, so it's just Stuart Armstrong's been a groin thing where he's had to have a minor procedure, which is days rather than weeks. So that brings him closer. Armel's exactly the same. Armel's training. It's just when we put him in and everything, and then Juan, we just got, again, Juan's like Romeo, we've got to be really careful. It was a bad injury in terms of muscular injury, so to keep pushing him, he can't, and he's you know, he's a little dynamo. You can't put him out there and say, look, relax and calm down, because he's not. He's 100 mile an hour, and that can be detrimental to him as well. So you just got to be careful with him as well. But we will, and we manage it, because we've got a strong squad. It is, you know, strong numbers and everything. That we've got good things, and that's what we wanted to do now. Come through this window and be strong, so they're giving us that second half of the season to really kick on.
Just on Jan Bednarek, when he left, I think his relationship with fans was quite damaged. He referred to Aston Villa as a bigger club. Are you concerned by this in any way?
Listen, that doesn't concern me, because he wasn't anything. I wasn't here and anything. But let's give it a little bit of context as well. When you go to a new club, and as a player, you want to say anything that will endear you to fans and to club and stuff. So let's not read too much into that. I'll tell you a story. I had a very, very unbelievable relationship with Carl Naismith, and he had to call me out after, because he left Luton and went to Bristol City and said, I'm going to work with one of the best managers in the league. Someone got on that and said, he's the best manager in the league. You just had manager of the year in that league. You've got an unbelievable relationship. You've just developed him into a left side centre half from a right winger. Surely things happen. You get quoted, you get things. So let's not read too much into it. Jan's, you know, a leader. Jan's done fantastically well for this football club. You know, yes, there was a period where things didn't go well, and there might be, you know, the odd word and stuff, but let's not read too much into that. He's done well, and he's earned enough respect here from his performances, rather than one daft sentence, if you like.
What's his mental state now, though? Because it felt like in the summer it probably was best for all parties to cut ties and move, but is he ready now to come back into a relegation fight?
Well, we've done I've had a number of conversations with him, and we're convinced that he is, and I don't think it's anything to do with his commitment to Southampton, why he left in anything. So look, we believe we can get a lot out of him. We believe he'll help others. He's been a good voice today in training and everything. So look, we're pleased.
Under the previous manager, Ruben Sellis was in charge of set plays. Now it's a little bit different with your coaches coming in. Do you think that's led to maybe muddled thinking, or is there a clash in styles in any way? No. It's clear. The information's clear. We have to be disciplined. It's just been a minor lack of discipline, which has cost us. And the Premier League is Premier League. Nothing muddled. Everyone's clear on how we do. We have certain roles about doing stuff, and you know, it's something that the minute that's biting us, and we have to change that. We're not hiding away from that. We have to change that. But in terms of structure, in terms of everything, we've actually been really good, apart from moments. But those moments, we've been punished. The Fulham goal, the volley was going way wide, and I think that's what's been happening to us. Then someone changed the structure, not us, in terms of last minute, and then we conceded from two touches, and those things can't happen. And we're really disappointed with the one on Saturday, because it's basic things. So that's nothing to do with who coaches it or anything. That's just a little bit of discipline that we have to just rubber stamp. Just on the subject of recalling players, is Nathan Teller, could there still be a possibility of him coming back?
No, not at the minute. You know, we're really happy with Nathan. He's doing fantastically well at Burnley. He's having a real good experience, and yeah, he's flying in. But with the greatest respect, like, for him to come back and then to do that at Premier League level, we're not sure. We've got people like Adam Armstrong who have been prolific at Championship level. So, you know, we've got good competition in that area. What we would like is something a little bit different in terms of maybe size, maybe real aggression or whatever. But in terms of that, no, we're fine. And Nathan's doing fantastic there, and doing a real, you know, and under Vincent having a wonderful season. So his development, you know, at the end of the season, then there's a big decision to make. But it's been a really productive loan for him, and it'll in his benefit to stay there.
Thank you.
Question, you mentioned Eddie Howe earlier on. I just wondered, when you come up, you mentioned that after the Stoke you spoke to him. How often do you speak to him? When did this sort of friendship start, or is it not a friendship?
I've known Eddie for years. You know, I've known him for years in terms of coming up against him. You know, when I was at Yeovil and he was at Bournemouth, and we were in League 2 and League 1 actually, because we weren't in League 2. You know, and when we were in League 1, I came up against him, and then it's just down the road. You know, we had people in common and so on, and then it's just been a healthy respect for what he's done. And then I came up against him when we were Brighton, so and then to talk to them and think, you get to know people, whether it's a friendship where I ring him up and say, look, do you want to go for dinner, is one thing, but whether it's a healthy, friendly respect in terms of what we did. So I called him up once for when I left Stoke for a bit of advice, and then I messaged him at something, and we had a conversation about stuff, because when I went back to Luton, people said, don't go back unless you're going to do an Eddie Howe. Well, I took the latter latter bit of advice, and that's what happened. So it's a very healthy respect. And he's a good guy. That's the thing about it. And had to work hard. Came through. No silver spoon. Really worked hard. Really pleased to see him doing well. Hopefully, I hope he has a disastrous semi-final. But apart from that, it's a very healthy respect there for him.
Thanks.
Benji?
Afternoon, Nathan. Sorry, just one more on Jan. I mean, when you went back to Luton from Stoke, I believe you spoke about sort of maybe regrets or remorse about how that whole thing had gone down, how the process of leaving went. Have you spoken to Jan about the reception he might receive, using, I guess, maybe your experience with them?
Look, we spoke about it, but he's an experienced international player and thing. And look, I understand why there'll be a certain level, but just take some context into it. Some people say some stuff when they go somewhere, like, you know what I mean, and it just happens, and you just say it because you want to endear yourself. You have to, and you want to be show that you sometimes don't think about what the collateral damage could be behind you, but there'd be no malice in it. He loves the club. He's very popular in the changing room, and he worked very, very hard for Southampton. It wasn't anything to do with the club, but he probably just wanted to endear himself to Aston Villa, and that's how I would see it.
And in terms of tomorrow, it's obviously a massive, massive game. It's probably the biggest game a lot of this inexperienced squad might have played in their career so far. Are you sort of fearful about how they might handle the pressure? Are you excited to see how they might handle it?
You've got to be excited in these things. If you're fearful, you're in the wrong job, and we were in a poor run of form and went into, just come off a good win at Crystal Palace, and then we faced probably the toughest challenge you can face. And if you're fearful on those nights and not bold and brave, then you're in the wrong job. So no, we're really excited about it. It's a semi-final of Carabao Cup. With the greatest respect, if I didn't leave my previous club and come here, then I maybe wouldn't have this opportunity. So all over, we're excited. As a team, we're excited, and we have to realise it's a semi-final, and it's a wonderful game for the fans and everything. And we're going to need a lot of things to go right. The fans will help us. We have to have good energy, and we will. And we'll pick a team that has good energy, there's good quality, and we'll try to win the game. And that's how we go out. And on the weekend, we could have implemented things a little bit better, but there were spells in the game we really went for the game, and at times we got the press wrong. First half we adjusted, and then second half we were really aggressive for 25 minutes, got the goal, and then that seemed to rock us a little bit. But there's performances there now, and we are close to being a really good side, and that's what's pleasing me. There are real good signs there when you look deep. It's just they just have to keep doing discipline for 90 minutes, and if we do that, then we'll be a better side, because there's a lot of good play in there.
I was just hoping to ask about the fans. I mean, obviously no one needs repeating of the stats of the league form at home, but I think in that 2-0 win against City, everyone could feel the energy in St. Mary's, even if it wasn't 100% full. Just how important do you think the crowd is going to be tomorrow? Because it obviously is such a massive game.
Oh, it's a cup game. It's a semi-final. It's here at St. Mary's. It's going to be massive. They'll travel well. Just think of flip it to a week's time when there'll be 50-odd thousand, and things. The atmosphere will be key. And I keep repeating, it will be if we can give them a performance to get behind. If we're passive, if we sit off, if we're not aggressive, then I understand. But if we are, I want them to respond to the energy that we give them from the team. And then they will lift that, and they will add confidence, and they will give us that little bit of edge that we're definitely going to need tomorrow.
And just lastly for me, you've obviously brought in 2 new signings as well as Jan coming back. Your predecessor Ralph spoke about wanting a pretty small squad. Do you have a size in mind? Do you think there could be departures over the next week?
Look, what we have to do is keep moving everyone forward. We can't literally just hoard a load of players and keep them, because then you have passengers, and then passengers become problematic in the end. So you can't do that. We want a small, tight squad, but we need certain things in the squad. We need certain things improved in the squad in terms of maybe a little bit of size, maybe a little bit more aggression, maybe a tiny bit more quality to add a bit of potency. And once we've got that, then we can make decisions on, do we need to move people out if that's in the best interest of them and the club. And that's an ongoing decision. But what we really have to concentrate on now is improving the squad so that on the 1st of February we're in a better place.
Appreciate it.
Nathan, obviously the home record in the league isn't great. Can you put your finger on why it's been different for Southampton in the Cups?
it's a different. I think it's a different mentality. And there's a different pressure really in terms of that. And what we are seeing now is like, I can't speak from before. I can't speak from before. Now I feel we're definitely more solid, definitely more organised in terms of trying to keep clean sheets, and then from that base, then we can become a fluent side. If we try just to become a fluent side now, then there are certain things that Southampton haven't done for a while and still need work on that mean that we won't be in games. So we've had to do that, but now we think we have a real good solid base. Now it's about becoming a bit more fluent, a bit more aggressive in terms of how we do stuff to then be more potent, because we've got to get the balance right. But I'm seeing real good signs now, and if you have a look at XG, if you have a look at the naked eye, we're not defending our box and constantly defending our box, and keepers having to make saves after save, and they're missing chances, and they go, we've been lucky there. They're not. The other day they had one really good chance in terms of when Gav made a save. It was a good chance, and that was it. So that's a real fluent side, and the other things have been set plays. If we keep repeating it, if we could just literally defend set plays, we won't concede. We wouldn't have conceded many goals in the last 4 or 5 games.
Obviously, Jan is back. Is he in contention? Because he's not cut tight tomorrow.
No.
So, but I mean, are you worried that the lack of minutes he's had both for club and country over the last few months?
Well, he played in the FA Cup a couple of weeks ago, so played 90 minutes against Stevenage. I know it's not a Premier League game, but that Stevenage are an energetic team, like under Steve Evans. I know all about them. So look, he's in a place where he's in contention. Whether he starts, whether he plays 90 minutes, is a different thing. So, but sooner or later he's got to get up to speed. So we'll take calculated risks and gambles with players, but I doubt he's ready to go 90 minutes tomorrow night. But it could be for 60, could be for 65, and then we've got a squad that can handle that.
Was there any bearing on the decision in terms of Armel's current situation with injury?
It's not a decision because we're covering something. We need certain things. Armel would be a fantastic player for this football club. He's still developing, still learning, and Yanniby will help him to do that. And at the minute, he's injured. So we had a decision to make whether we recalled Yanni or recalled Jack Stevens, or went out and signed another one to give us a little bit more cover, so that because at the minute, if we play 3, we've only got 3. So if we play a back 3 or go to a back 3 or whatever it is, we've only got 3 centre halves. So you do need a bit more strength in there. But look, it's a juggling act with them, and it's about getting Armel to a place where he's a top Premier League centre half.
One more for me, and obviously you got the Saturday, Tuesday, as you said, but also you're at the business end of the transfer window. So how difficult is that for you, and particularly the fact that you've now been given a game on deadline day?
Ask my wife. We pretty much sleep here and do things. It's a busy time. It's always a busy time. But when you come into a new club and you're going through what we're doing, and we are learning, we are learning processes and learning about teams and stuff. Because with the greatest respect, and as you all know, preparing for a championship game, preparing for a Premier League is totally different. So you have to be very sure on everything you do in and out of possession, and we do, and we work hard, and we give the details, so we get to a point, and that sometimes takes double the time, because at other leagues, when we've been one of the best teams in the league, we go, no, we'll do what we do, and then
having to leave something so important in the hands with Rasmus, obviously, when it comes to the transfers, because you've got, like you say, that busy schedule.
Or if you can look after my youngster, that would help. But no, it's we have a process here in terms of things. I have a set role within the transfer, within the recruitment process, and then others have their set roles. So once my role is done, I can concentrate on doing that, and we do. And then that's up to me as a manager to go, look, games take precedence, and once I've prepared for games, then do the other parts of my job.
Tomorrow.
You mentioned him there, Jack Stevens. The fact that Jan's come back, does that mean that Stevens is likely to stay at Bournemouth now? He's just got in the team, isn't it?
Well, look, yeah, and again, it's keeping people moving forward and everything. If we wanted another centre half and one that we knew about, so they were both really in contention to do that, then to try to get Jack back with him playing there would be far more difficult than getting Yanni back. But both are leaders, both have different characteristics. We just felt we probably needed Yanni's characteristics slightly more than Jack's, even though Jack is a fantastic leader and loves playing for this football club. So look, ideally we could have done both, or would have liked to do both, but that's not possible, as you've said, because the squad is too big then anyway.
In your playing duels with Eddie Howe, who used to come out on top? Who do you reckon had the better win record?
Well, I don't know, we'll have to have a look. I mean, to be fair, it was always tough to play against Bournemouth, but it was nice because they only just down the road from me over. But I think it'd probably be even. And then at Brighton we were, but Brighton, well, Eddie always said that Bournemouth wanted to evolve into what Brighton were and stuff. You know, it was a healthy respect in terms of that there. And then because I was working with foreign coaches, I always went in and had a lot to do with Eddie. So I think it's reasonably even, I would imagine. But Eddie was manager when I was at Brighton, and I was only assistant. So I'm not sure a manager goes up against an assistant as a head-to-head. So this would probably be one of our first proper ones, and things, and I'm looking forward to it, and obviously looking forward to seeing him as well.
And you've spoken a bit about experience. Could now be the perfect time to unleash Mislav Orsic, someone who's played in a World Cup semi-final, clearly won't be daunted by a League Cup semi-final. He's playing the Champions League as well.
Look, I think everyone we've signed now won't be daunted by big games now. So if Mislav is the thing with Mislav is he hadn't played. So he needed minutes, he needed training, he needed just getting up to speed, because he's an explosive player. And with explosive players, you know, for me, I could have had a month off and come back in because I wasn't that explosive. But with him, he's prone, and the last thing you want to do is put him in early, and then him pull a hamstring, be out for 6 weeks, and then you suddenly spent a lot of money bringing someone in to improve you that then is sitting in the treatment table. So we've just had to manage him really. But yeah, in terms of the question, I don't think this game will faze him. I don't think he'll face Alcaraz either, because of the games that he's played in terms of in Argentina, with some of the most vociferous atmospheres you'll see. And then we've got players all throughout the team that have played in big games. There's internationals right throughout the team. So no, look, I don't worry about that. Yeah, the younger ones, people like Lavia and Edozie, they're an unknown quantity, but the way they are in terms of confidence and fearless in terms of stuff. Lavia at Anfield, for example, when my first game was outstanding. So look, I got no fear with any one of my players for that.